go again?
Oh, no, not again.
You've seen it before, haven't you?
Dom, how long have we been doing this?
Once more unto the breach, dear friends.
Again and again and again until we're both dead.
Hello, welcome to You've Seen It Before, movie reviews with connections in mind. Madam Web is the latest live-action Sony Marvel film to come out recently. It is directed by S.J. Clarkson and follows the story of Cassandra Webb, aka Madam Web, as she is a paramedic in New York City, sort of around 2003, who finds out that she has amazing powers that allow her to see into the future. And this comes in handy when she finds herself in the position to protect three young girls from a mysterious villain who intends to kill them. Now, this video review will contain spoilers of Madam Web, as well as certain other things. I'll do my spoiler-free thoughts first and foremost, but just so you know, there will be spoilers later on in this review. So without further ado, let's get into some spoiler-free talk on Madam Web. Is it worth seeing in theaters? Is it a good Marvel movie? Is it a good film in the Spider-Verse continuity that we've got going with Sony now? You know, going into this movie, I did not have high expectations, and this movie did nothing to go beyond those low expectations, because I think we all knew going into this that Sony is kind of in a weird place with their Spider-Man thing, because they've long ago, come to the conclusion that unless they're animated and they're directed by Phil Lord and Chris Miller, that Spider-Man is in its best hands with Disney, Marvel, and those Marvel movies work for it. But if you can't use Spider-Man, it's hilarious in this movie that they go out of their way to not name certain characters that I believe, you know what they're referring to, but they're probably technically under license to Disney, namely Peter Parker and Aunt May. They can't name them in the movie, but they're still trying to make a movie set in the same Spider-Verse. And some movies just don't need to be made, and I feel like this is probably one of them. There's going to be a lot of people who compare this to the last live-action Sony Spider-Verse film, which was Morbius, and in my mind, there are a lot of people saying like, oh, this is going to be another so bad it's good kind of hilarious fest, and for me, no, not really. This is just kind of a boring movie, in my opinion, and I think a lot of that stems from the way the characters are shown because Dakota Johnson as Cassandra Webb, for the vast majority of the movie, her character she's thrust into a situation of protecting these, three young women, and as well as other situations. Like I think, at some one point she really doesn't want to go to a baby shower, and yet she's sucked into a baby shower, and she just shows like, oh, I don't want to be here at this baby shower, and everyone knows it. And then she's like, oh, I don't want to be in this position of having to take care of these three teenage girls. And it's like, and the teenagers and the three girls themselves, like, they don't want to be there either. And it's like, if the whole movie is about characters that don't want to be there, why should I as an audience member even care what's going on here? It's like, are we all just wasting our time here with this? And it's like, it doesn't really change throughout the rest of the movie. I think until the very end, the tiniest little glimmer of character development, and by once you get to the end, it's like, okay, this is what it was building up to this whole time, and it doesn't make me excited to see more of this. It doesn't make me want to learn more about who these characters are. I mean, just that's a fundamental failure, I think, of this movie. And other people have said this, but I feel it's my duty to point this out. If you've watched the Madam Web trailer and you've seen the footage of these, the Spider Girls doing all kinds of action and fighting things. It's like, what's in the trailer is all the footage of one of two scenes where those costumes are worn. That's it. I think the second scene is only less time than what's shown in the trailer. So I think all told, it's like maybe 3 minutes tops of footage of these characters in those costumes doing anything. And it's nothing about the rest of the movie, not that at all. So if you were hoping for more of that, then you're going to be sorely disappointed, and that's, we won't call it deceptive advertising, but it's definitely misleading advertising. So that's, I know those are technically some synonyms, but I think there's a nuanced difference there, and yeah, that's not what this movie is at all. And you can also, I don't want to make this a whole thing of poking holes of poking through so many plot holes, so many weird decisions by characters, things just kind of happen. Again, I think I've said this in the past. The worst movies are movies where it's just like, oh, and this happens. Oh, and then this happens. It's like, why? Why did these things happen? Why should I care that this happened and that happened? It's like, no. And, it doesn't help that, we as the audience are supposed to, not only these three girls, they're marked for death by the main villain who wears this knockoff Spider-Man suit or whatever, and he's trying to kill them. Not only we guys, we don't want them to see them die, and yeah, sure, but for the most part, these they're so annoying as characters, and they don't stop being annoying until really near the end of the movie, and it's like, no, that just makes it unpleasant to sit through their scenes, and that again, that's not what this movie is supposed to do, or what any comic movie is supposed to do, and. As a comic book, I don't read the comic books, really. I haven't really read any of the Marvel comic books, so I know nothing about Madam Web from the comics. And this movie, I had more questions than answers, for sure, and I don't really want those questions answered, frankly. I have no real reason to want those questions answered. So, again, I don't want to, drag this down too much. I wish I could say there were some fun things in this movie, but not really. Adam Scott plays, this feels like a spoiler, but, I feel like this is the cast listing. Adam Scott plays Ben Parker. And, and that name rings a bell, it should. He has a good job. He's a fine, character, but, I won't say he's a character, it's just kind of Adam Scott doing Adam Scott things, and he's fine in it, but that's about it. Really, when all I can say is the coolest part of this movie was the cool 100-year anniversary Columbia Pictures logo at the very beginning, that's a problem. And I don't want to be so down on this movie, but again, I'm having a hard time finding anything positive to say about it. So, definitely not the worst movie I've ever seen. And, for those who are going over the top, say, oh, it's such a hot dumpster fire. It's like, not even entertaining enough to be called a dumpster fire. It's just boring and dull, in my opinion. So, if I was going to give Madam Web a letter grade, I would say this is a D+, in my opinion. There's just barely, I think mainly it's just because of Adam Scott doing his thing that brings it up out of, low D's to F territory, in my opinion. So, those are my spoiler-free thoughts on Madam Web. Some spoiler thoughts now, certain plot developments and character arcs that may seem familiar to you, and where you may have seen them before. I think a lot of people may have pointed out that there's definitely a Terminator vibe going on here, where the three girls are being hunted because the villain Ezekiel has a vision of that these three are going to get fire powers and then kill him in the future. And so he wants to kill them before they get their powers and become a threat. Very much, Terminator, John Connor, Sarah Connor thing going on with that. But I kind of also want to point at, this, Madam Web's powers of being able to see the future to avoid, oh, I saw how you got killed this way. All right, let's try to avoid this. Let's do this now. And, you can only see a little bit into the future, and, you have to do that. there's a bit of Edge of Tomorrow, the Die Repeat essence going on there, but also reminded me of a similar episode of Stargate SG-1 from their 8th season called Avatar, where Daniel Jackson goes into a simulation and his perception is tweaked so that he can see 2 seconds or 3 seconds, whatever, into the future before things happen, and that gives him the edge to avoid getting killed a couple times. So there's that comparison we made here. I mean, I don't want to go, this point where I can point out some so many plot holes, like, for instance, the villain, Ezekiel, he gets hit by cars and an ambulance multiple times and seems to survive those okay. So I don't know why, I mean, yes, it is a bigger piece of metal, but I don't know why getting crushed by the giant Pepsi sign at the end is what takes him out, when getting smashed by an ambulance going full speed that went plowed through a wall didn't take him out. Comic book logic, I guess. But also, the scene at when, I guess it was a dream, maybe, of Cassie going back to the diner after she had smashed through the doors and hit him once and saved the girls. She goes back, and then she has like this weird dream thing. It's not really explained as to, we're getting exposition from her talking with Ezekiel of why he's hunting them, but it's like, is it happening? Is it not happening? How is it happening? That has to be an editing thing. They must have cut something out to explain what was going on with that. And, it's not being clever to just leave that out. That's actually an error. We need to know what's going on there. And then finally, this bugged me in the movie itself. She steals a cab to quick getaway, get the girls out fine. And then when she goes back into the city to get her stuff, she takes the crowbar or whatever and rips off the license plates. Sure, but the license plates, it's only the 4 number, the 28X3 or whatever. That's also the cab number that's on the roof and, stenciled on the sides. You would think that would have been reported in. Ripping the license plate, does that really do anything? No, not in that situation, so why did you even show it? It's like, that's her being clever, that's her, she should have gotten a different car at that point. I don't know. And I think someone also pointed out, it's like, oh, she booked like a flight out of the country. Did she book a fake name when she plastered all over the news that she kidnapped these girls? I don't know. So yeah, there's just, so many different plot holes and bad writing that you could go into this year. That's just ones that hit me off the top of my head. What did you think, Madam Web? Did you not like it, or did you like it? Genuinely, I want to know about this. And what about my analysis? Do you agree, disagree? Did I miss something? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate whatever audience I can get. Be sure to look for my next movie review, which, if the schedule holds, I believe will be for Dune Part 2, which comes out in a couple weeks here, so I'm looking forward to that. And if you like this video or any other video on my channel, please give me a like, share, and especially subscribe. I would very much appreciate it. Again, thank you so much for watching. Just remember, there is nothing new under the sun. And yes, I have seen it before.